Okay, so that feeling, the rumble in your stomach, maybe that sudden need for something sweet, or just how food can feel like a warm hug sometimes. We all get that
Hmm.
sort of constant rhythm of hunger, cravings, the comfort. But what happens when that rhythm just stops?
Yeah.
We're doing a deep dive today into semaglutide. You probably know it as Ozempic or Wegovy. It started out for type 2 diabetes,
Right,
right?
right.
But now it's huge for weight loss because it fundamentally changes how we physically experience hunger.
It really does.
But today we're not really focusing on the pounds lost. What we want to explore is the emotional side, the psychological stuff that pops up when that constant physical hunger just goes quiet.
It's a really unexpected landscape for a lot of people.
Exactly.
Right.
What happens after the cravings fade? What are we really hungry for deep down? And we're going to be leaning a lot on the insights from Dan Hollis based on the sources you shared to help us navigate this.
Yeah, his perspective is really central here.
So, what's the first big surprise? What does Dan Hollis see happening when people start this journey?
Well, for a lot of folks on semaglutide, the biggest thing isn't actually the number on the scale dropping, though that happens.
Okay.
It's the absence of cravings. Just poof, they're gone. Take Kate, for instance, from the material. She's 46, mom of three.
Right.
2 months in, she'd lost about 7 pounds,
Mm.
minimal side effects, blood sugar looked better. Everything seemed fine, on track.
Sounds like it was working as expected.
Specifically, yes.
Yeah.
But then something else happened, something she really didn't see coming.
Okay. What was that unexpected shift? How did she describe that feeling?
She told Dan Hollis she felt like a ghost in her own kitchen. Said she walked past the pantry, and for the first time in 20 years, nothing reached back.
Wow. Nothing reached back.
Nothing.
Yeah, that's really striking. Almost a bit eerie.
It is, that lack of the familiar pull, that craving signal.
Hmm.
It was deeply unsettling for her.
I can imagine. So what does Dan Hollis call this moment of unexpected silence?
He actually has a term for it. He calls it the quiet window.
The quiet window.
Okay. And he describes it as that point where the food stops answering your questions and the real ones start talking.
Huh. The real questions start talking. It sounds almost counterintuitive, maybe. But how does losing a coping mechanism, even one like overeating that you know isn't great for you, how does that lead to grief?
The very real thing.
Mm-hmm.
Kate, for example, she didn't really miss the food itself.
Right.
But the sources say she missed the signal, the rhythm, even that self-story that said, at least I know how to feel full.
Ah, okay, the familiarity of it.
Exactly. She just felt weird, like the house was too quiet. She even said her own brain was turning into a library after hours.
Library after hours, yeah.
And she put it really clearly. It's not that I'm sad. It's just that everything feels like truth now. And that point, that feeling, that's where Dan Hollis says his real work
Hmm.
actually begins, not when the weight drops off.
So his focus isn't the physical stuff the lab's improving.
No.
It's when the human sitting across from him begins to hear the echoes of all the years they used food to muffle the deeper questions.
Wow. Okay, so what are those deeper questions that start coming up?
Well, he points to some really big ones. Things like, what am I hungry for when I'm not hungry?
Hmm.
Who am I without the chase? The constant pursuit of the next meal or snack. And what's left when the noise goes.
Those are heavy, yeah. They just surface when the food noise dies down.
Precisely.
So how does Dan approach this? Does he give pep talks? Tell people to just push through? He talks about offering scaffolding. What does that mean?
Yeah, scaffolding is his term. It's not about motivation talks or new restrictions. It's about providing structured support,
Hmm.
new ways of thinking about things, mental frameworks.
Okay.
Because so semaglutide doesn't solve the emotional hunger piece.
Right.
It just, as he puts it, clears the runway so you can finally see what's trying to land.
Yeah.
It enables the work. It doesn't do the work. Gotcha. It creates the space. So what did the scaffolding look like for Kate? How did she actually start listening? The sources say it wasn't like one big aha moment.
No, definitely not. It wasn't some huge breakthrough. It was more about small, consistent shifts, simple actions that showed something deeper was changing.
Like what?
Like one Wednesday, she just didn't snack through feeling sad,
Yeah.
or a Thursday where she opted for tea instead of pouring a second glass of wine.
Okay, subtle changes.
Yeah, and then taking a walk on Sunday, not because she was thinking about calories burned,
Right.
but because, as she put it, it felt like a conversation with her future self,
That's beautiful.
isn't it? And the source says the real protocol isn't a diet plan, it's being here in the quiet, listening.
Hmm.
So for anyone listening who might be feeling that kind of silence,
Hmm.
the message is, you're not broken. You're actually just starting to hear yourself again. Welcome to that quiet window. You're definitely not alone in it.
That's a really powerful way to frame it. Okay, so let's dig a bit deeper into this emotional landscape. Redefining hunger. It's not just the stomach growling. How does Dan Hollis broaden that definition?
He really reframes it. He teaches that emotional hunger sounds like a craving, but it's actually a question.
A question.
Yeah, a need asking to be seen.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big shift in perspective.
Yeah.
We tend to misread our internal signals all the time, don't we?
Totally. Like thinking you're hungry when you're actually just tired.
Exactly. Or lonely, or maybe just totally overstimulated.
Sure.
We confuse those feelings for hunger.
So when we go rooting around in the pantry, what are we really looking for, according to Hollis? And what happens when food isn't there as that emotional crutch anymore?
Often we're looking for connection, comfort, or clarity. Things food can't really give us, not in a lasting way.
Right.
And when food stops being that emotional scaffolding, people don't just feel lighter physically, they can also feel really exposed.
Exposed. Yeah, I can see that. Vulnerable, maybe.
Definitely. But what's crucial is how Dan Hollis approaches this. He names the pattern, this emotional eating, but without any shame attached.
That's key.
It allows people to see it not as some kind of personal failing or weakness, but maybe as wisdom misdirected. Like the impulse to seek comfort is wise, but the method was just off target.
Wisdom misdirected. I like that. It takes the judgment out. So what's the practical advice? How does he teach people to handle this wisdom misdirected when it pops up?
The core teaching is to pause, but crucially, not to punish myself, but to get curious
Okay, pause and get curious. About what?
about the feeling itself.
Yeah.
To actually ask yourself that question, what am I really hungry for right now?
Yeah.
It shifts your attention from just acting on the impulse to understanding the need behind it.
And that brings us back to the role of something like semaglutide. It's not the fix for the emotional eating itself.
No, absolutely not.
So how does it help with this process of self-discovery then?
Well, Hollis puts it nicely again. He says it just makes the biological noise quiet enough to finally hear it.
Oh, turns down the volume on the physical static.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or another way he says it, it's the silence that lets you find the answer, or maybe find the real question. It creates the opportunity. That's the real power of these GLP-1 drugs. It's not just about less appetite.
It's the chance to, what did the source say? Rebuild identity.
Yeah, to rebuild identity, behavior, and emotional awareness while the cravings take a step back.
So you can learn to tell the difference between real hunger and that signal confusion we talked about.
Right. And start seeing cravings differently. Not as enemies you have to fight.
But as messengers.
Exactly. Messengers carrying information. And then you can meet them with insight, not impulse.
Which means healing the emotional side needs more than just counting macros or following a meal plan.
Oh, definitely. He stresses that it demands empathy, both for yourself and understanding the root. It requires awareness. And it really requires asking the question behind the craving. That, he says, is the real work.
The real work. That phrase keeps coming up, doesn't it? And a big part of any real work, especially around health and habits, is dealing with setbacks, right? We mess up.
Always. It's part of the process.
We fall back into old patterns. And with weight loss, the immediate thought is often, I failed, I'm weak, I'm undisciplined, I'm just broken.
That's such a common and really destructive narrative.
So how does Dan Hollis flip that script? How does he reframe failure?
He completely reframes it. He says, failure isn't the end, it's a message,
A message.
a moment of feedback. And sometimes it's the most honest conversation you'll ever have with yourself. He doesn't see it as a reason for shame. He sees it as a data point.
Like information, something to learn from.
Exactly. Something to observe, understand, and then build on. Not something to beat yourself up about.
So it's not about never stumbling, it's about what you do with the stumble. He even mentions that a relapse isn't necessarily a betrayal.
Right. He says relapse isn't a betrayal of progress. It's the brain asking for the old familiar rhythm. It's the brain seeking comfort in what it knows.
And ignoring that, just trying to white knuckle through it, he says that leads to fracture, not just failure.
Yeah, it can break you down instead of building you up.
Okay.
Which ties into another key insight he shared.
What's that?
He said, most people aren't failing semaglutide. They're failing to prepare for what comes after it.
Ah, okay. So when things go off track, it's not necessarily a sign of personal weakness.
No, it often means the support system needs strengthening. whether that's internal coping skills, external support, whatever.
He even goes so far as to call setbacks sacred. If you look at them with curiosity, not judgment. That's a really different way of looking at it.
It totally is. It shifts everything. It takes away the shame monster.
So how does that connect to the idea of grace? What does grace mean in this context?
Well, the typical reaction to failure is often blame, right? Self-blame. Hollis defines grace here as responding to that stumble by reaching for a better tool instead of reaching for blame.
Okay, so instead of I suck, it's, okay, what can I learn? What different tool or approach do I need here?
Precisely.
Yeah.
It becomes about self-reflection, asking yourself, like Hollis teaches, what story am I telling myself about this failure? And is that story helping me become who I want to be?
That's a powerful question. And that whole framework, that applies way beyond just weight loss, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Learning how to fail forward, as he puts it, that's a life skill.
Yeah. What's the impact of adopting that perspective, do you think?
It fundamentally changes your relationship with challenge, with mistakes, with growth in every part of your life. Health, work, relationships. It's not just about the scale. It's about becoming more resilient, more self-aware, more compassionate toward yourself. It's a lasting shift.
Okay, so as we kind of bring this deep dive to a close, what are the main takeaways, the core ideas you think people should really hold on to from this?
I think first, understanding how something like semaglutide can open up that quiet window, that unexpected space where the physical noise fades.
Right.
Second, recognizing that the emotional hungers that surface in that quiet aren't just cravings, they're really questions, needs asking to be seen. And third, embracing that radically different view of failure, seeing it not as an endpoint or a reason for shame, but as valuable feedback, as data, as an opportunity to learn and adjust. That's what enables real, sustainable progress.
Yeah. So this whole exploration is really a guide, isn't it, to understanding that complex dance between our physical selves and our emotional selves, especially now with these new tools becoming more common.
Exactly. It adds another layer we need to understand and navigate.
So here's a final thought to leave everyone with, maybe something to chew on. If our deepest cravings, those emotional hungers, are really questions asking to be seen, what might we discover about ourselves, about what we truly need, if we actually committed to listening to the silence when it comes?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Definitely something to ponder. Thanks for digging into this with me today.
My pleasure. It's fascinating stuff.
Until our next deep dive.